make this one clear. This is brought up in an OPE thread. Um, the 440 hybrids are a lot of work. So if you're doing a 440 hybrid or thinking about doing it, they're a lot of work. And the real question is, can you make it worth it? And that question is not easily answered. So for those people that are wanting to do it, there is a lot of stuff involved. So for those, and I'm just going to go over that. I'm going to go over kind of the high points of what needs to be done. Just a second. I just want to bring it up here so I can see questions and comments and all that fun stuff. Anybody that is watching later, please join us live if at all possible. It's a whole lot more fun. That way I can answer questions and whatever else. I'm supposed to be putting this together with somebody else, but for right now, I don't have anything to do, so I'm going to go ahead and do it because I need to get this off of my bench. So, sorry, buddy. Anyway, so yeah, so what I wanted to do was kind of go over like a general approach to how to do this because there's a lot still to go over. I don't know why that was an alert there, but whatever. So there's a bunch of stuff that I think I'd do if I did this again. Hey, Andrew. Yeah, hanging in, you know. Bunch of stuff I'd do, I think, if I had to go over this again, like where would I start? I think the first thing I would do was actually clearance the piston on the gasket. And then you can use the gasket kind of, or clearance the gasket on the piston rather, because the skirt can be kind of tight on the actual gasket. So you actually have to work on the gasket first. But then you actually, once you have the gasket even on both sides, then you can actually use that to help you grind in the case. So going to clearancing the case, hey Greg, you're live for once. Yeah, cool. Welcome. So what I would do for clearancing the case, I would actually assemble the crankcase with bad bearings, like regular 6202s that are junk bearings. I'd get everything worked on and clearanced, and then be able to pull everything apart later, clean it all really well, and reassemble with the good stuff. That's what I'd do. Would be my approach next go around. Because there's a number of places you have to clearance. One is basically you need enough width here for the skirts because this is a 54 millimeter piston, and yeah, you need a little more width in the actual crankcase. You actually have to grind here about a quarter of an inch down and wide enough that the piston will actually clear. So that's one thing. The other thing is you're going to have to clearance the crankcase itself to the head, but in order to get the head on, you need to use the gasket on the 460 head to grind. Basically, the bolt pattern is narrower in both directions. So you need to grind that so you still have room on the lands, but ground in enough that it'll actually sit on this particular bolt pattern. So once you can get that, then you can say, okay, will this fit on physically fit on the crankcase? You may have to clearance it, clearance the cylinder in a number of spots, depending on your crankcase. Clearance the crankcase sometimes. The transfers here are real thin, so you really don't want to grind on them that much, at least not on the outside. So crankcase needs clearance. The Chinese crankcases need clearance over here too. Also got another issue. I bore out these holes so I can get tools down in there because once you've actually moved the bolt pattern, then physically getting tools down in there is harder. So you have that issue. What else? Next thing is the clearance on the exhaust. So the exhaust is a whole other problem. I actually put this on the Bridgeport and decked it by 1/8 of an inch. Still not enough. I'm still going to need spacers, and we'll go over that later. So once you have all that done, then you go back and reassemble the crankcase with good bearings and whatnot, and then you can actually finally, get your port timing numbers and do all your port work and whatever else. On this particular head, one thing I could not do is I could not drop the head significantly because it freeports. The exhaust is right on freeporting. So I only dropped it 15 thousandths just to optimize the squish. I did that on the Bridgeport. This is a China saw. This is OEM crankcase, 346 XP bearing on the PTO side, Nachi bearing on the flywheel side. This is a Taiwanese or China head. I don't know. This actually comes from the Duke, Chris Learoff, sawsalvage.co. And so not a Chinese set of cases. OEM crank. Um, by the way, I tried to do the highway piston, but the skirts are actually shorter on the highway piston than they are on the Chinese pistons. I don't know why. So that makes the freeporting even worse. So you need to have the longer skirts in order to make the freeporting not so bad. The intake was right on where I needed it to begin with. It's about 80. That's perfect. What else? So a lot of this is going to be OEM. Yeah, this is an OEM saw. It's just I again, this is preference. I don't like grinding on OEM heads. Not new ones anyway. You know, you have a really expensive, nice new head. Yeah, don't grind on it. Just put it on the saw and maybe bump the compression a little bit. But I don't. It's like that. It literally just like sacrilege. You can't do it. You know. That's how I feel about it. There are plenty of other guys that only do OEM heads. That's fine. Whatever. I'm not going to argue with people about that. You know what I mean? So I don't mind grinding on a relatively inexpensive head. This one was like $70. So we're not talking about a lot of money here, but we're talking about a lot of time. I had to cut off by the exhaust here. I had to cut off these fins. The top cover fits. I had to cut off this top part because the top cover fitment was an issue. And what else? I think that's about it for the head. So a lot of stuff here to, little fitment issues that take an enormous amount of time. And the ultimate question is it worth it? I don't have the answer to that. Wish I did, but I don't. It might be worth it. It might not be worth it at the end of the day. That's the thing about these 440 hybrids. You can do a 440 hybrid. It's possible. Getting it to be good enough to be worth all this aggravation, I don't know. Okay, so let's get to actually putting this thing together. I have so I've got a brand new OEM intake boot here. This is one of those parts I would highly recommend fresh and new if you're doing a rebuild. They are not cheap. This is like $45. Not a cheap part. Do I need goop on this? Do I need goop on this? Right now, no. I'm not going to goop it. You can goop these up if you want. If this saw gets taken apart again, I'm not going to want to have goop on here, so. You can look in here if you want to look in there and see if you need to clearance something. Yeah, could use a little bit of clearance there. I'm going to use my Cineo spray pen. Highway heads have come a long way. Yeah, I know. But the highway, I don't know if they make a 460 big bore though. They might. A little bit more work here. This is just a Sharpie marker inside of basically turning a Sharpie into a spray gun. hopefully that'll show me. So you can see right here, I know exactly where to clearance. How's that for interesting? What is that? That's expensive. Shows me right where to grind. Ranchan, what's going on? Richard Grace, got one of the Titan kill cylinders, impressed by the quality. Take my words for nothing. Quality over time is the real trick, you know, with any of these things. And pretty much all this aftermarket stuff tends to be a bit of a moving target. I'm just grinding this back to clearance it so it's got more even, you know. More even path in, that's all. Just don't want too much of an obstruction there, that's all. Waiting on the state to thaw out so the kid, yeah. That'd be fine. Nice and smooth shot in. Could do it just a little bit more that way. You can spend hours on this. Like, I got a little more there. Okay, well, hopefully you don't grind through. Nice light touch, nice and smooth. That's fine. Good, nice and clean head. Okay, now we can put this back on. Beauty. Yeah, it depends on how far you want to go. Just make sure there's no obvious step there messing you up. Okay. put on my clamp here. So OEM boot, OEM clamp. This has a stop on it. Done. Okay. Get some Loctite. Put this on the bolts. Okay. So the only goop I'm going to use here is right up a little bit of 3-bond, right where the gasket meets the case, where the case has me essentially. Just a little smear. Got a put in the OEM wrist pin. There's the original wrist pin in here. It's WD-40 on it. A little bit of lube on the wrist pin too. Way in and home. I've got one circlip, an OEM circlip installed over here. I think these are actually Husky circlips, but it doesn't matter. I'll set the right size. Click, and you can hear it go click, it rolls right around. Perfect. For the really astute out there, you're like, Matt, the rings. I know. So, caber rings, no point in doing much else. Fresh set of cabers, 54 millimeter. Caber. Does not. These are not F-cast. Just the regular cabers. Okay. The F-cast ones are probably a little harder to install. They're a little harder overall, a little less flexy. There's one. There's two. I'm going to put, well, let's see if I can get this, if the rings collapse and get into the head easy here, and then I'll put those in. There's one. First one's usually not too bad. The second one, that's a little harder. The other thing you can do is you can cheat. Use the ring compressors. There you go. There's the ring compressor. So sometimes this helps. So double, triple check. Clips. Circlips are good. They're in place. They roll around. Oil. If you want to put oil in the bearings at this time, you can do that. I've got the seal here on the flywheel side to put in too. Okay, so we got screws. 1, 2, 3. That's nice and tight. And basically bring down to roughly bottom dead center. What we're going to do is get our T27 here. And just get everyone started. Did I forget anything, guys? I don't think so. I think we're good. Richard, I'm putting together the first 660 for the Grandberg. Have a 5 cm 550. Might want to see how long it could be a 660, not the 5 cm. Okay. Yeah, so use saws for what they're good for, you know? If you're milling, then a beater 660 might be the ticket. You know? If you're, by the way, if you're doing dimensional lumber, like that bolt. If you're doing dimensional lumber and you're doing and you're chainsaw milling, it's just not the way to go. You need a bandsaw mill. I've done enough of both to understand that there are, some definite advantages to chainsaw milling. But if you're doing it on a regular basis, forget it. It's just too aggravating. Bandsaw mills are available for relatively low money these days, and the difference in productivity is crazy. Cool. Beautiful. Ha. Okay. So, let's remove this and get the seal in. Steelman with a hybrid. Might be still the same. We've been working on this one for a while. Use some of the locust, probably a 4-inch thick chop table. Cool. Just remember, like, if you're doing slabs, slabbing is a whole art. Then them things crack and check and, oh, terrible. So, yeah. Yeah, tonight, no guests. Whatever. Mason and Buck show up, when they show up. So we got about 103, 125, and 80 here for the timing. I think we did pretty good. Supposedly the new echoes are pretty good there, Andrew. So I've heard. Again, I don't have any need to run stuff like that, but some people, like that sort of thing, so whatever. This is a very important part, so I'm going to hold that there. Don't worry about this circlip. I already have 2 installed. I'm not really worried about it. But I do have to put the seal in here. So I need a OEM Stihl 19mm seal. It's this dang seal pocket that screws up the toolkits like crazy. It's so tiny. I'm Tim in Australia. Welcome. There are plenty of people from that area of the world, which is great. I use Loctite 518 on these, just cause. Not that you really have to, but. So I know that these you put down to flush, but if you want to be picky about it, you can measure. Actually, I don't know if you can get this. You can do it this way. 4 millimeters there. About 9 millimeters there. So 5. This is what, 4? 4. Yeah, so flush is fine. There's plenty of room there. I actually have the key is still there, but the seal actually goes around that just fine. And for here, you don't need the tool because it's a nice taper, and you're not going to pucker the seal. Jock Schulstrom. Jock, did you send me an email earlier? I still have to reply to it. Was that you? Yeah, welcome, Tim. Welcome, Jock. They seem to be high quality. Yeah, on paper, yeah. Supposedly pretty nice pieces. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually use you can use a punch to make sure you don't overdrive it. I've got a big Allen, but this will work. That's it. It's just driven down to the land. Done. Simple. Yes, I will. I will reply to the email. I've got a form letter I'm going to send you. I just haven't done it. Forgive me. And if you don't hear from me in like the next 12 hours, email me back and remind me. Sorry. Hey, Pat. Welcome. Yeah, Jock. One thing that I recommend to people is if they're watching me, A, don't binge watch me. It's too boring. But B, take notes. You know, do what you can to take notes and then come back with questions. Yeah, it goes right down to the land. So, no problem there. The beauty is the Husky bearing here already has an integral seal. So, don't worry about that side. So, what's next? I guess we can kind of work on all this stuff over here while we're at that. Stuff I don't need anymore. Don't need that. Do need this. Probably need that. A little bit. Okay. Yeah, the husky bearing is an option if you want to. You don't get pigeonholed into just doing the Stihl stuff. That's my concern with these. So you really end up getting pigeonholed into only Stihl parts, and that stuff drives me crazy. The old oiler dip tube. Let's put new in. The pickup's fine. Who cares? It's fine. But nice to have a fresh rubber tube here. There. Cool. Is there? Yes, there is. The 390 XP. And you can go back to my videos on that recently. I've done that option recently. Yeah, the Cook's bands work good, huh? Oh, Mason just texted me the 288 fired on the third pole. Great. Text him back. Yeah, the 390 XP PTO bearing. This is a 346 XP or 576 XP, same one. Essentially, it says 6202 with a seal. The 390 XP is a 6203 with a seal. But it's a proprietary seal. They're a little bit different thick, so there's some issues you have to look at, but it does work. The difference here is for the 440, you have this stupid bushing thing that you actually have to machine down by 3 millimeters this way, not that way. But once you have that, come on. Ah, there's a lip. There's a lip. There. I think I left a lip on that. That's not good. Mason said it fired on the third pull. Seems like a nice saw. Just texted me now. He's gonna log in, I guess. Oh shoot. Actually, it was funny. I texted Buck today because I was like, oh shoot, yeah, it's fixed. Perfect. And now this, who cares whether the seals are not against anything? It doesn't really matter. It's just a spacer. But this is $38 from Stihl. It's ridiculous. It's more expensive for that than it is for the bearing. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Now I gotta go over to the ultrasonic and get the oiler. We'll do that. Hang on. So on the OEM Stihl bearing, you want to pull it up against the oiler. Well, you don't need to. At least not with the Husky bearing. You just pull it up against the chassis on the inside, and you got it. Because there's plenty of room for the bearing in the land here on the oiler. This oiler is moving and grooving, so I'm not that worried about it. WD-40, just make sure the thing moves, and it's nice and free, so not too worried about that. But there is one little piece that I do want to replace, and there's an O-ring right here. Guess what? We have a substitute. There is a substitute for this O-ring. Here's the OEM one. I'm going to use the OEM part, but it's just a Bona-in O-ring. I mean, it's not. So those two are the OEM parts. So let's measure it. I believe they are millimeter O-rings. It's a 4 millimeter ID. I think it's 1.5. Yeah, by 1.5. 4 millimeter by 1.5, something like that. And I bought a whole pile of them. They're here somewhere. Ah, there, right here. Check this out. Let's check and see. I haven't even opened this yet. There's O-rings. Yeah, 4 by 1.5 Bona 70. So they're nitrile O-rings. Alright, so here's the new one. Here's the OEM one, the old one. Can you tell the difference? Here's the fresh and new OEM. It's just a different color. But who cares? You might as well buy 50 of them and have them in stock permanently. That way you're never out. Cool. I'm going to check the old one. New one's going in here. And stuff like this, I just buy 50 of them and then I leave it in my pile for 440 stuff. You can also do, if you're completely nuts about it, is get the part number. That was O-ring. So here's the part number. I'll put that over there with that too, so that we know what the OEM part is. But yeah, just this O-ring goes on the end of the oiler like that. Okay, good. Ready to drop that. That's perfect. spacers on there. It's not going at all. Looks to me like it could certainly go in a whole lot further. It is. Just gonna. Kiss that gentle there. Let's see if we can install the oiler and then bring that down to it. I don't think you can. Gotta go. There. Nope. It looks like it should just slide over just a touch more. The whole thing needs to seat. Doesn't look like it's seating. There. Now it's seated. Boom, boom. Good. So the oiler sits perfectly there. The bearing is not interfering at all. Now we just need screws. Two small screws, M4 with T27 heads. Hold down the oiler here. Good. Now what? The rest of it. new eventually. Do I have hose that'll fit that? Piece of latex, maybe. Maybe. ORingsandMore.com. Very nice. You know what? I'm going to slap this right here on my toolbox. I knew I was missing stuff. Sorry, guys. Hang on a second. I knew I was missing. Jersey Joshua, sweet Bill. Thank you. It might be. It might be terrible. I don't know. I was just talking about that earlier. Like, you know, I think it was Mastermind that actually said, you know, getting these together is not necessarily the issue. It's making the effort worth it is the issue. Making them run well enough that it makes all this fiddling worth it. Yeah, and I agree with that. Daryl, hello, thanks for the 288 work. Wonderful. Enjoy it. Yeah, we had fun. Maybe a Husky 385. Somebody Johnson Red 20. A Johnson Red 2077 crankcase, 2083 cylinder and piston. Ooh, I don't know. I'm not familiar with that Johnson Red model. Sorry. As a general rule, I'm not familiar with lots of Johnson Red stuff, but don't lose that. Just not usually my cup of tea, you know. Should probably put that in the ultrasound. Okay, this is spring here. Crazy knee joint. So I always forget how these knee joints go. Kind of drives me berserk. Also, that you gotta assemble this too all at the same time. This we need to worry about for the moment. This I could just slide on down and in here. Right, that's going to get pulled out just slightly. Did I put that in right? Stihl, man, do I have that right upside down or down right side up? I can't tell. It looks good to me. Right. That's upside down. Pop. Link. Pop. No, that's right. Upside down. Okay. All right. Let's try it. I'd eventually get it figured out, but easier to have you guys here and phone a friend. Oh, God, come on. There we go. Cracks it. Okay. Yeah. Better. That's loose, and then pop. Should be that. Yeah, that sets it. Yep. That's right. Because if I can't find that stinking E-clip, I gotta find one on my own, which is doable, but still a pain in the neck. I need to find an E-clip for that. Then we got it. I just don't see it. Okay, well, good thing I got an assortment. You gotta have an assortment. Preferably more than that. Like a second assortment. I may still not have exactly the right size. No, that's definitely not the right size. Brett Smith. I don't think these are not quite big enough. Hang on. I have other ideas. There are other ideas. I have other steel chainsaw parts here. I got my pile of randomness here, which has a few bags of steel parts, just random. See? Sometimes you just need a pile of random. Hopefully there's an E-clip in there with that. I don't know. I got a few piles of random here. Let's look through those. Random steel parts. There's another knee sitting around. I buy piles on eBay just for situations like this. I don't know how I lost one of the dang E-clips, but whatever. I don't got it. It's going to be a real short trip here. Worst comes to worst, I can actually modify one of the other E-clips for this, which I might just do. And go back later and futz with it. I just don't see them. And they're really small, so they'd probably be at the bottom of these containers. That's cruddy. No. Triple sure it's not here, it's not there. Triple sure it's not here. Okay. Fine, I'll just take one of these smaller ones and modify it so it fits temporarily until we can actually get the real part. Servo light 5/30 seconds. I need like 3/16. That's what I need. Yeah, I think they're all the same. I think this will work for now, but I'm a pain. I gotta do it. Click. perfect. That actually works fine. There we go. Put a brake band in. And a brake band screw. Spacer for the clutch. Spring. Again, this rubber piece we can replace later too. Sarge sent me this. Might be a little bit too big. Maybe not. There we go. There's your spring installed. It's just a nut driver that happens to be smooth on one side. Did you say you have to turn the 3mm off the top of the bushing? Yes. So in order to make enough room, if you do out the distances, yeah, you take about 3mm off the bushing in order to actually 3mm off this side rather than that side if you do out the measurements. So. And just looking at it now, I don't think it really matters which side you grind off that, but whatever. And also looking at it now, you may not even need to take 3mm off. You can experiment with it and see, because you can just play with this side. But I did out the measurements of what the thickness of the bearing was, the original bearing, all that stuff. This bearing is thicker, so than the OEM bearing in that dimension, so the only way to compensate is to remove some. Get the sprocket, drum flops, you probably know. Yeah, probably. I did it on the other one, it seemed good, so. We've got 3 screws here for the covers, so let's pull the covers off. Put the covers on. And we'll put the drum on here. Here's the covers. Just spin the clutch on. cover. There. It's just got to sit just right. Once it does, everything's fine. A bit of Loctite here. Where's my hand tools? So I can put the clutch and the drum and all that other stuff on, you know, tight later. Let's go to the other side of the tank or work on some other part here. Just make sure all that stuff, I've got all that here. Go to the tank. Is this is new hybrid project? Yeah. This is a new project. The other one, Buck actually has right now just to run it, and I think it tickled his fancy enough that he had to have this one. So perfect. That works fine. Okay, over to this side. Or tank. Let's see. What about the tank here? I think everything was good on the tank. Just a little dirty. Neck there with no ring. All right. So now the trick is getting the boot through this hole here. And if the boot is brand new and nice and supple, you can get it to kind of crush up there a little bit, and then we just work it around. While we're in here, let's work on the impulse line, which hemostats work well. So on the, I don't know if you can see the boot here, just work it. The other way to do it is with string, and I've showed that method before too. You can actually do the recommended method is actually with a piece of string. But you can just bring it around and through just like that. There. There we go. Impulse line is fully down. Now we can attach the tank here. This upper mount I have set aside. Perfectly good AV mount. No need to waste it. Now guys, I'll get back to comments in just one second. Sorry, okay. Snug flywheel. I have not done the flywheel yet. Titan Cal, bore kits. Would like to check that out. Yeah, you're welcome to check out that sort of stuff. This one I got from the Duke, Chris Theroff, sawsalvage.co. Actually, I bought it off of eBay, but I'm sure you can get it from him directly. And this one was about $70. So I just don't like to use really nice heads if I'm going into really muck around with them, you know? It's just my own personal preference. Some people only port OEM saws, you know, or OEM heads. I'll port a used OEM head, but one that's nice, I you know, start having issues with that. I just can't handle it. Black wire looks like it goes back here. Yellow wire fits towards the front. Just spade connectors, nothing fancy. Just I'll pull these through a little bit more. It may actually be a proper way to run these wires, and please forgive me, I do not know it. If there is, there's tuck them in. Yeah, no, they're not in the way. No, that's not the Highway Titan Kel stuff. It's just, it's a no-name brand. Sawsalvage.co. MS460. This is the big bore 54 millimeter. It's actually a pretty nice head. The big issue that I had with it, so I got another one here, just for hell of it. The big issue that I had with it was that it wants to freeport, so I couldn't drop it that much. But that's the thing with all these aftermarket heads, is they can be pretty inconsistent. The OEM heads tend to be kind of inconsistent too, so there is an issue there potentially. All right, next is a screw that goes up here. AV mount. So the upper AV mount. And then lower. Now we're just plug and play, guys. Just plug and play here. More or less. Flywheel time. I can advance the timing here, but for right now I'll leave that stock. These are easy to take on and off, so just not that big of a deal if you wanted to advance that at some point. Some of these saws do benefit from advance, some don't. And unfortunately, I am not the expert there, so I am unsure as to whether this would be a good model to advance. I think it is. I think it is. So back to the nylon rope. Feed it in, bring it up. The nylon rope really is the best piston stop. Good. Back that off. Here. Okay. Long one. Make sure these are all the right length. Oh yeah, Whole thing coated. Go. Now we can actually spin this on. You can kind of hit that against the compression. Just bump it. Good. Now we're back over here. We've got that fairly tight. A little bit of the wobblies, but yeah, it looks like you could cut maybe 2 millimeters off that thing and still be good. Still have room here for this clip. Whatever. There you go. Yeah, I'm just not happy with any of the. I see what you're saying about maybe using a plastic stop, but I think I'd rather use the rope. All right, let's see the intake here. I knew I forgot something. I forgot the oiler worm. Stihl, man, you're not watching me. You gotta keep an eye on me. I do stuff like that. Forget things like oiler worm. Great. Why is it not oiling? That's why. Carburetor just presses right in. Is this carb? No, hang on a second. I'm gonna get rid of that instantly. Yeah, because having a limited carb on a saw like this ain't gonna work. Take a drywall screw, stick it in there. Now you can actually tune your carburetor. Okay. eyes on, comes out, throttle out, throttle to wide open, then this just clicks in basically. Then I think this goes on. Forgive me guys, it's been a little while since I've built a 440 here. And your metal piece for the air filter, 8mm bolts. Per usual, I've got tons of missing screws. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. We might have a pop, yeah. If I can find an 8mm instead of a 10. I think I did. That works perfect. Let's go back and put the oiler worm in. Oops. And this one is not all used up, so that's good. Yeah, I'd say 2mm maybe, and try it that way, but rim, which is fine. Dog. a nut on the other side here. Really? That kind of a pain. Okay. Actually, I wonder, is that too long of a screw there? I'll just use a shorter one. Let's do that. But I still can't hold it. Some pliers here. Again, good thing I've got quite the assortment of steel screws. Don't have something sticking way out. Good. Tight. Okay. The muffler. Ugh. Not really looking forward to this, but whatever. The one thing with the muffler is I really need to put spacers here. Yeah, I know the muffler screws, but I need spacers here to hold the muffler further out, and that's going to be the trick, I think, is actually getting the spacers under there. Oh, shucks. So I've already port matched this. Spacers at the front mounts, yeah. So now I just need, these are the actual exhaust bolts that were used. So I've got them. So getting the muffler on, that's not that big of an issue. Getting it on with the spacers, that's a different story. So basically need to have these started. Let's see, how do I get the spacer under there then? And I have stainless washers that'll be perfect for this. And like this one is no problem right there. It's this one that's the. Ow. Yeah, I know. Dave says he's got a. I have an idea. No, it's fine. I know that Dave has a spacer. I know that those things are available, but I'm thinking like, what can I do otherwise? And the answer is I can actually put something through here to maintain the space, to hold the space. Just as a, let's say I wanted to do that temporarily. Yeah, you can do that too. Tacking them on the back of the muffler with a MIG would make actually a lot of sense. Thank you. Yes. But how do I physically get those down in there? That's the problem. And then I've got to get the cover on and then put everything else on too. I could tack them temporarily with like JB weld or something. Hey, Redrunner. Like this side's no problem, but I gotta get somehow I gotta get them over there. How about some contact cement? How about some contact cement? Hang on. We'll go Super 77. Stuff's going to go everywhere, but how's that? Drop a crazy glue? Yeah, they could. I was doing both, I guess. That is nasty stuff, by the way. But yeah, I assume crazy glue would work too. Let's see if that holds well enough for me to get. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Jake Whitcomb, hi from the UK, got here late, caught up on my comments. Okay. Steel saw. So dropped in for people. All of my steel saws working on a 2.6. Okay, great. I'm not really a steel guy, but happen to be working on one here. That's right. I can't put that cover on until those are tight. So let's make sure. So yeah, this has got all kinds of modifications to it. So if you're looking for how to do this stock, this is definitely not stock. That might actually work. So I took off 1/8 of an inch on the Bridgeport mill on the cylinder, and it still wasn't enough to not need spacers. So okay. Now we're going to hope that this doesn't move. I put the cover on. So you can use a dual port muffler or whatever else fun you might want to do. Again, for right now, this is opened up, but not super duper modified. So Jake, what part of the UK are you in? So yeah, the Super 77 looked like it worked out fine. Cool. Let's get a top handle on this thing. See if we can get a compression number. Why is that not going in? Good. Good. Now we can get a compression number. Yes. Ah, one more thing, because we can't get a compression number if the decomp's not there. Let's get the decomp then. Hang on. We're going to go for a pop right now. We're going to get a compression number and a pop. I should have done this first, but look at that. Can't quite do it. Just tight. Too tight. That was the decomp that was in the other head. I don't even know which one it is. Might be Stihl. Tough to tell. So, not going to worry about that right now. Yeah, see, I like, if you give me an 026 versus a 346 XP, I'll do the 346 XP every day. I've done the 026s, and there's actually a video series on one that I did for, hang on one second. Oh, okay. Somebody just emailed me. Was going to buy the tools, but then I found I can get the OEM Husqvarna Prollers for less than $20. Yes, you can get the OEM Husqvarna tools for $20 or whatever it is, significantly less than my tools. No, they are not as good. They're just not. But if you want to do that, that's fine. More power to you. I'll just say that right off the bat. So, yes, I will respond to that, no problem. But anyway, yeah, the thing is, like, so the OEM tools actually put lateral forces on the bearings. Kind of the whole idea is to not do that. The other thing that the OEM tools use is you have to use an open-ended wrench. It's much easier to be able to use a ratcheting wrench with my tools. It makes life 1,000 times easier. So kind of the whole idea of these tools is to make life easier, and when you use the OEM tools, it just makes life more complicated. Plus, you got to buy a bunch of different ones to actually get what you need. Here, you can just get a kit, and it does most of everything. So there's a bajillion reasons why my tools are better. Yeah, they're going to cost a couple extra bucks, but hey, they're made in USA. You guys know me. You can come punch me in the nose if you need to. You know what I mean? You have support. You can ask questions. The Husky stuff, you can't do that. So, do I recommend getting something? Sure, but if you're going to do it, you can just do the hot and cold method otherwise, which kind of the idea of buying tools is to make your life easier. If you buy the OEM tools, it doesn't really make your life a whole lot easier. So I'm going to say that right now. But let's ignore that for the moment. Let's see if we can get a compression number. Put the decomp in. Make sure that's on 0. Oh God. Okay. Jeez. Okay. Down on the floor we go. That's with the decomp. Okay, the decomp popped. Jeez. There's 180. 185. Oh God. 210. I can't even. 210. I can't. Ugh. Oh, it's at least 210. Okay. Yeah, that's stout. Okay. Let's get. I have new plugs. Outside. I don't have them. Didn't bring them inside. All right. So what I should do. I was supposed to keep notes here. That's for the. Okay, hang on. Where's the 440 notes? Great. Oh, they're here. Okay. E-clip rubber spring. New spark plug. Just some stuff that maybe a new decomp. Yeah, I can put a size here, but I can put a brand new Husky decomp in there if he wants. There's my email address. I'll send you information if you want through email. Maybe a dual port muffler. Steelman, please delete that because bots pick up on that and then I get spam. That is it, but yeah, bots. The reason I don't do that is because bots pick up on that and then I get spam. Thank you. You're welcome to give out my email. If somebody contacts you, that's fine, but yeah, the reason I just don't post it here is because I don't want to get spam. Okay. Good enough. There you go. Didn't even put new filters in here or nothing. Just want to see if this silly thing goes, you know? Time for a pop. It's time. It's been a while, you know? full, but that ought to do. Shot down the throat just to get it going. Yep. Choke. Oh my God. There we go. It will be beastly. Okay. Cool. I got a few more little things to do, but essentially that's that. That's really all I came here to do tonight. So I'm gonna put the top cover on and whatnot, but that's all the minor stuff. So time for me to go chill out for a little while. Needs a Husky decomp. Yeah, you know, I've on the other ones I've done, it still trips. I do want a stroker saw. Yeah, you could. Richard, thanks for coming by. Yeah, I mean, if you want a stroker saw, you got to talk to Sean Carr. SR Carr on OPE forum. SRCARR. SRCARR. Sean Carr. He does stroker stuff. This this is going to be stout. So the cylinder here is decked and ported, and you can go see the video on that we did from the other night. So this is decked, ported, but not squish band. The squish band can't be cut because I can't drop the cylinder anymore because it tends to freeport. Yeah, OPE forum, Sean Carr. He's the guy for stroker stuff. I think like he does a 395 stroker that is mean. That's what I've heard. Jake, thanks much for coming by, and you're welcome anytime, of course. Please, everybody, just so everybody knows, like asking questions and whatnot makes this channel what it is. So the comments and everything are definitely, that makes it what's fun for me. And there's really, not much point to doing this if I'm not having a good time. No squish band because if you lower the head anymore, then underneath the piston on the exhaust side it freeports, so I can't drop the head anymore. There's no point to actually dropping the head. So I'll just add more freeporting, and you don't want to do that. It was like 15 thousandths off the base, wasn't much. I just optimized the squish on the old. This is the old base gasket that was already on there. I didn't want to mess with having even working on the new one. So just old base gasket. So this is a gasketed build. Again, if I drop it anymore, there's just more freeporting. So you start running into efficiency issues. Other questions? So yeah, so really, it's just basically squish adjusted by decking the base of the head and of the cylinder and then ported from there. So my timing numbers ended up at 103, 125, 80 roughly. Who made the cylinder? It comes from sawsalvage.co. I think it's a Chinese head, Taiwan head. I don't know. It's not Highway. It's not a Highway head. Actually, a pretty nice head. The only shame of it was I couldn't drop it anymore. But clearly, at 210 pounds of compression, I don't need to. Holy smokes. So, but caber rings and new bearings. So, should be quite a stout piece. Everybody have a good night. Thanks so much. And we will catch you guys next time, okay? We'll be on next time. And please save questions. And who's going to test it? Well, maybe I get Mason here. I don't know. We'll see. Mason or Buck, be one or both. Have a good night, guys. We'll see you soon.